Yeah. I suppose if you go right back, I was born in Port Hedland and played my junior footy and lived in Port Hedland, which is basically it's a mining town up north. Very, very hot. It's where BHP sort of ship a lot of their iron ore off to China and whatnot. So it's a transit town. There's a lot of people that come and go. And I grew up there and played a lot of footy there as a junior. And my dad was a footballer and he was my coach. And, you know, when your dad's your coach, you think you're the best player. And I sort of went through those emotions as a kid. And then I was lucky enough to move up to Perth for boarding school.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I went to Wesley when I was in year 8, and I played junior footy at South Perth. And to be honest with you, I was never really any good as a kid. I wasn't a great footballer. I didn't have a lot of talent, and I was a bit awkward in my body as well. So, but I just loved the sport. I loved the game. So I played for almost my entire teenage years. I would have played 2 games a weekend. So like I play on a Saturday for school and then I play on a Sunday for club. And that just actually made me such a better footballer just by playing and training and loving it. And like I didn't see it as a burden because I just loved it. Like I didn't have a social life, but I just loved playing footy.
Yeah, so you were saying you weren't that good. So obviously playing lots of games, getting that almost like football IQ in, obviously very important for anyone really, isn't it? Get exposed to the sport as much as you can.
Yeah, I'm probably like the typical, like I was just average, like average athleticism, average ability, average at everything really. Like I wasn't I was a little bit taller than it's probably the only thing I had that was working in my favour. But I just genuinely loved the game, and by genuinely loving it, I played it a lot. I trained almost every night and I played all the time, and I always wanted to get better. And you know, as a kid, you're not thinking about getting better and working hard. You just love it, so you just do it. So by loving it and doing it, I actually became half decent. And then by the time I was 16 and 17, when it starts to get a bit serious, I was invited to my first East Fremantle, tryouts or whatever. Yeah. And again, I wasn't very good. I just scraped through, but probably because I loved it, and that was probably evident to the coaches. I remember I wasn't very good. Yeah. And then just because I've kept playing and I grew into my body a bit, and I've just gotten better and better and better as I've gotten older.
So when did the switch happen? Did it finally clicked? So when obviously you weren't so good, and then obviously now you're good. We have to assume you are slightly good to where you are now. So where did that kind of the switch flick?
I reckon that obviously you just get better and better and better. Like it's a gradual improvement. But the real catalyst for, I reckon, my dramatic improvement as a footballer was in Colts. When first year of Colts, when I was starting to get a bit better, but I just assumed that because I was a key position player and like a tall player that I was never going to be a good runner. Yeah. And that mentality, right, is the sort of a very fixed mentality. It's like, this is just where I am in life. That's just who I am. I'm just not a good runner. I'm just a key.
Not so open-minded.
Yeah. And I remember a coach sat me down and he just said, if you ever want to be anything, you need, like, you want to be this, you want to be that, you want to play state, you want to, play league, you want to play AFL, which was a goal at the time. You need to be a good runner. Like, you can't just accept that you're at the back of the pack with the ruckman. And it was that mindset shift. I never really thought like that. And I realised that I actually am a good runner. And now I'm one of the better runners for a key position player, because it's not because I was a bad runner because I allowed myself to be a bad runner. And it was a mindset thing. It wasn't necessarily running. It was just a catalyst for a lot of other things. Everything sort of changed for me then. I realised I was so fixed in my mindset and that I could be so much more if I just was a bit more open-minded and just trained a bit harder. So that was probably where I first got an introduction into work ethic.
So why was it that you had such a closed mindset? Was just we weren't aware of that whole situation?
Just not aware. Just no one had ever told me. You need to learn things, and no one had ever told me that I could be a good runner. And someone actually told me that, and I was like, wow, maybe I can be. And I would classify myself now as a pretty good runner, especially for my position. So
in the game of AFL football, that's the key. Be able to run, isn't it?
Yeah. Some guys think that you need to be an absolute gym junkie, you need to be heavy, but we cover so much ground. I'd rather move better than be a strong strong sort of athlete. I'd rather move a little bit better, especially at our sport.
Get across the field a bit more.
Yeah.
Push through. Quite important. So so from there onwards, it was just exponential growth.
Yep.
Straight up.
And there's been ups and downs.
Yeah.
Like I had a really good first year in seniors and played a bit of league footy, and then I had a second year was really good, and then you just had a couple down years where you just assume that you're going to get better, and you know it's probably a work ethic thing. I just assumed I was going to get better, but I probably didn't put in enough work, and you know ebbs and flows throughout my career, and I guess that all leads to now in like the last couple of years where another sort of penny has dropped in my sort of ability, and like again you're always learning that I can work even harder, and I've really worked hard this pre-season. Hopefully I set myself up for a pretty good year.